Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How we doing? Happy Wednesday evening. It's August 27th, 4:35 Eastern Standard Time, and I just want to address the people in the Twitch channel. I see you guys in here. There's 10 of you that have hopped in nice and early. Maybe you saw the notification that we're going to have happy hour with Steak and Snowman. We're going to be stumping the Snowman, and somebody is going to be getting $50 in the chat. Now, here's what you should do, okay? I want to make this really clear. If you're in Twitch, you need to click that link that is pinned up to the top of the chat. That is the link to the Pikkit YouTube channel. It's going to take you to the stream. I'm going to bring up Steak and Snowman here in a second. No need to have him on the screen while I'm trying to spit out some instructions. Pause. Rowdy Rhymes, let's fucking go. How's everyone doing? Great. You just heard what's going on. Dead Press Carta, fuck traffic, and Greg. Always. I hate those two things. Just kidding. Greg's okay. Supreme Fatty, it's been a long time. How we doing? Look at this. Supreme Fatty says, first happy hour. Love that. What's up, Braun? Look at everybody in the YouTube chat. These guys know how to follow instructions, and I love that. Supreme, or McKiffin, sorry, never been here for happy hour before. About to crack a Michelob and listen to the fellas. I want to make sure I have this right. Is that a Michelob? Not an Ultra. A Michelob? If you're drinking an actual Michelob, I respect the shit out of that. There is no chance you are under the age of 45, and you might even be a mechanic, and I love that. Get your fucking hands dirty, roll your sleeves up. Sandy Plashkes. Why do I feel like that's not the real Sandy Plashkes? I feel like you might be a burner. Either way, W's. You are lots of picks on that whiteboard. Yeah, there's not. Fuck off. You guys are in the right channel. Last thing, you making us move. Nerfy Chad. Yes, I am. Dylan Capper. I see some Coke residue on that hat. Very funny. It is very dirty. I don't know why it's dirty. I have Diet Coke in my, by the way, this is a football mug right here that I got from Wing House. I don't even know if you guys know what Wing House is. Used to go there back in my day. It was a great job. Okay. Last thing. If you are on Twitter, I'm going to say this one time and one time only. The link to the stream to happy hour is in the comment section on Steak stream or my stream, whichever Twitter stream you are on. Okay, without further ado, I see the chat's buzzing. We got a lot of YouTubes in here. Love it. Supreme, come on over. We'll see you here soon. Better be booze in there, buddy. Why would people assume that I don't have booze in here? Steak, what's good? Snowman, great to have you. Actually, hold on. Wait. Damn it. I wanted to get Snowman in between us because he's the challenger.
Yeah, I know. I wanted that too.
I don't know how to do it. Snowman, what's good? Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here on the Pikkit Happy Hour. I got a nice Spotted Cow beer that we're drinking right here. And if you guys haven't had it, you have to try it. Best beer in the country, in my opinion. Cheers.
Dude, you recommended it to me when I went to Milwaukee. I don't know if you remember that, but I got a giant case of it for the house. It's actually delicious, insanely good.
It's so good. And it makes no sense. They only sell it in Wisconsin.
It's crazy, but honestly, I kind of like that.
So my whole I guess what I envisioned from Spotted Cow is totally off. I thought Spotted Cow was a stout, like a creamy beer. It's not that at all, is it?
No, it's an ale. It's like a, very smooth version of one. I believe they have a bunch of other like brews and other types of brands, but the main one, New Glarus, the company has a bunch of different brands, including a stout, but Spotted Cow itself is definitely more of like an ale style beer.
So if anybody here is new, by the way, I love that the Pikkit YouTube channel already has 50 people in there. You guys know what to do and where to find us for happy hour. If anybody's not familiar with Snowman, get familiar with Snowman at Snowman_sports on Twitter. He does a Twitch stream as well. Snowman, just real quick, do you have a set schedule for your streams going into football season, or do you kind of just rip it whenever you feel good?
For the most part, it's 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. On Saturdays, it will be earlier because obviously 11 is when the games kick off. So I want to get live about an hour before then. But during the week, it's pretty standard, 11 o'clock Central, noon Eastern.
Okay, love it. And we have always said, Steak and I started to get familiar with Snowman. He is like an encyclopedia. I feel like probably an elite level of ball. But we weren't sure. We've talked about and joked about doing Stump the Snowman for some time now. Steak and Pranav, shout out Pranav. I see he's already in here in chat, which, by the way, he is a fellow Big Ten Michigan man. And I know that you're a Big Ten guy. You're an Indiana guy.
It's not like SEC here where you're just chanting SEC. I want Michigan to lose no matter what. I don't care if they're playing somebody outside the Big Ten. There's no just, you're a fellow Big Ten. No, this is war in the Big Ten Conference. It's not happy-go-lucky like the SEC.
I respect that.
I do too. I fucking hate. I mean, I'm a Notre Dame fan. They're not in a conference. I wish they were in a conference, but I've always hated teams that cheer for the conference. If I'm an Alabama fan and Georgia is in the championship, like representing the SEC, fuck that. I don't want anything good to come Georgia's way. I've always hated that.
Completely agree.
All right. So on that note, we're gonna play Stump the Snowman, and I still see 15 people in the Twitch chat. I don't know what you're doing. That's the last I'm gonna tell you because we're gonna shut it down. Twitch, the link to the Pikkit YouTube channel is in the chat box. Twitter, come on over to the Pikkit YouTube channel. You know where to find us. I'm gonna retweet the tweet right now. We are live, and then we are gonna play Stump the Snowman. Now, these are the rules. Okay, Snowman, you are gonna get 5 questions from each of us, myself and Steak. Now, we are essentially going against each other, and we're trying to find questions that are going to stump you. Now, we're not going to ask impossible things, like who was the right guard for Michigan State in 2002, like not shit like that.
Sure.
So some things that have a little bit of relevance that you can remember, but maybe do a little bit of thinking. Now, you have been on Jeopardy, so I think we're going to...
Who wants to be a millionaire?
Who wants to be a millionaire? Sorry,
That's
I always fucked it up.
insane. God, that's crazy.
So
I applied for Jeopardy. I never got anywhere with that.
I'm going to tell you right now, my 5 questions I thought were medium-ish on the difficulty scale. I sent them to Steak to run by. He didn't know the answers to any of them. So I want to be clear. I think you're going to get 2, if not 3 out of the 5 of my questions. I have seen Steak questions. I feel the exact same way. So I feel this is a very even challenge, but whoever stumps Snowman more wins. Whoever loses has to give $50 to somebody in the chat and $50 to Snowman for participating. Now, without further ado, I'm going to shut down Twitch. So please come on over. How far? Oh, yeah, that's a great question. How far did you get on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I made it to the $50,000 question and then walked away. Instead of guessing, but I had the right answer, and it still haunts me to this day that I didn't go and guess it.
What was the question and the answer, if you don't mind me bringing up bad memories?
The question was something along the lines of, which of these awards did the person it was named after win? And I knew for sure it wasn't the Heisman Trophy, but the other 3 were like the Fields Medal, some, math award, and then the Cecil B. DeMille Award, which is what the answer ended up being.
Never would have got that.
No, I never would have got that either.
It was one of those things where I felt I had like a 1 in 3 shot to get it because I knew it wasn't the Heisman Trophy, but I wasn't going to risk, because you dropped out to like $5,000 if you get it wrong. So I'm like, I felt like a big gamble on a 1/3 shot, but I was right with what I thought it was. So it hurt even more looking back, because then you get a free shot at the next question, because then you would hit the next milestone.
I must be old school, because the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire I watched, it was like you went down to $1,000 until you got to 32,000, and that was like your next spot, and then it was nothing.
The one I was like a 5,000 and 50,000 were the milestones. Cool. It was with Chris Harrison. It wasn't with Regis Philbin. It wasn't the OG.
Oh, okay.
Daytime syndication, not primetime ABC.
Did you use a lifeline?
I did. I feel like you ought to use all your lifelines. Take your timeouts in football. You want to take your timeouts into the break? I can't use my lifelines on Stump the Snowman.
I totally agree. If there was a friend to phone for trivia, I would phone Steak. But I think maybe I gassed Steak up a little bit too much. He was great in Family Feud. I went and watched him live at Universal Studios. And by the way, Steve, what the fuck is his name? Why am I blanking? Steve Harvey, yeah. I almost said Stevie Johnson. Steve Harvey was very funny in real life. But Steak went up there 1v1 to see who wins the topic, and if you want to pass or keep it. And there's like 1 through 6, and they ask a question, and he got the first one. So the other guy didn't even get a chance to go.
Yeah,
but anyways,
but I murdered my opponents. I got the number 1 answer both times.
That's how you put your foot on the throat, Steak. I love it.
Steak went against Pranav, and I got to tell you, Pranav, if Pranav's in here, I'm not just being nice. Shout out Pikkit sponsor and Pranav for being a really impressive trivia opponent to Steak, because I had you as a heavy favorite, and Pranav, I think Steak, we both agree he was better than expected.
He knew every nickname to mid-major schools. I thought that was amazing. I mean, there wasn't one you could get him.
Yet, Snowman, do you ever play Sporkle?
A ton back in the day, back in like high school and middle school and stuff. all my friends and I would be playing Sporkle all the time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Steak, let's get into it.
Okay. Just to be clear, my random NFL players you're putting up on the screen, right?
Yes. So Steak has 2 players. I'm actually taking screenshots right now because I forgot to upload them into StreamYard. Shocker, he's making me do more work and hurting my wrist. But I'm getting 2 players up that Steak is going to put on the screen, and you have to guess who they are. Now, this is 2 questions. I'm going to go one at a time. We're going to take turns. We're going to basically go Snake. No, not Snake, because that means somebody would go twice again. All right, Steak, I'm going to ask him your question first. Let me go back to your notes here. So the very first one, okay, it's this Lions player. All right, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't think you're going to get this.
Really? I do.
You do?
I have a lot of faith in Snowman.
All right, Snowman. First question on Stump the Snowman. Can you name this NFL player?
35 on the Lions. He looks like a running back. There are certainly a lot of old school Lions running backs back in the day. My initial thought was Javid Best, but I believe he was 30, not 35. Could also be a defensive back, but I still think running back looks more likely here. I'll go Javid Best. I can't think of anything else right now.
That's a really good fucking guess, but that is wrong. And somebody in the chat got it.
That's right.
Holy shit.
Let me ask you an honest question, Snowman. Do you think that's a fair trivia question, or do you think that's too difficult?
I think it's certainly a difficult question just looking at it, because at the end of the day, if it's just a random guy like that, it's tough to recognize with like the facial features, especially with the helmet on. So it's like saying, who is this Lions 35?
Yeah.
It's not impossible. I mean, obviously Kevin got it right, but it's definitely a challenging question.
Okay, that was really hard. I did not expect you to get that. Go ahead, Steak. I'm sorry.
Well, the rest of my questions are Big Ten themed. I just want to let you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So Steak kept it in the Big Ten. I kind of went all over the place. And I asked you, like, what categories do you think that you have the best knowledge in? And college basketball was one of them. So I tried to give some college basketball questions and not just keep it Big Ten. All right, here's my question. There was a highly touted quarterback that was getting recruited out of high school with offers from Notre Dame and Miami, but he elected to play point guard at Duke. Who was
Greg Paulus.
Damn it, I was wondering if that was fucking easy. Not easy, but
W Snowman.
You got to know if you.
He also went on to play quarterback at Syracuse after.
He did. Yes. He did. And you know what I thought about? Which way to phrase the question? Like the Duke tell you who it was and ask you which team he played quarterback for. Chat, where was that on the difficulty? Was that pretty good? That was too easy. Damn, that's like, I don't think that's too easy. I only knew that as a Notre Dame fan because I remember watching Duke, and I remember all they would ever fucking say was, they would show pictures of him playing quarterback. Be like, Notre Dame sent him offers, blah, 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 blah. Notre Dame never got a great quarterback outside of Brady Quinn. He's not even that great. So I was always like, damn it.
And the funny thing is that question actually reminds me of another one of my favorite trivia questions. Maybe I'll throw one back at you guys right now. Let's see if we can get this one right.
Okay.
Another player, a number 1 overall recruit in football, ended up going to play basketball instead and got drafted at number 1 overall in the NBA draft. Do you know who I'm talking about with this player?
Really?
Number 1 overall recruit in both football and basketball. Picked basketball, went number 1. Very famous player.
Allen Iverson.
Correct. That is correct.
I can't fucking believe you didn't know that, Steak. I can't believe that's his favorite player.
I know Allen Iverson's literally my favorite player. I did not know that. I literally did not know that. Actually, I'll just be honest. I would have guessed 30 guys before I guessed Allen Iverson.
LeBron is a hilarious guess.
I'm so glad I didn't guess because my guess would have been horrible, like really bad.
Dude. I believe he was I think he was committed to like Florida State to play both before Robinson came in at Georgetown and secured the basketball only.
Great question. And I can't believe Steak. As long as I've known him, Allen Iverson has been his favorite basketball player. That's crazy. Okay, actually, should we do Snake? Maybe we'll do Snake. So I'll go again.
I don't care. But for what it's worth, chat was saying that question was too easy. I do not agree. I think that was a great trivia question.
The Paulus one?
Yeah, absolutely. Go Gators.
I think, you know what, kind of like the who wants to be a millionaire threshold. I think there's a threshold of ball knowledge. Once you pass it, that becomes an easy question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm worried he's going to run through the rest of my questions, but we'll see.
Okay. Snowman, again, in an attempt to try to ask you college basketball, which they're not all college basketball, but I tried. Here is my next question.
Okay.
Now, this stemmed from my favorite player, one of my favorite college basketball players, Scotty Reynolds. I looked up Scotty Reynolds and I tried to find if I can ask a question around him or that Villanova team. And I started to do a little deep diving and I found something that I thought was a little bit more fun. You're a college basketball guy. I think are you our age? We're 38 years old. Are you older or younger than us?
Younger. I'm 31.
Okay. So this was in 2009.
Okay.
So I feel like maybe you were still paying attention and following. But Scotty Reynolds made it to the Final Four. He did not make it to the championship in 2009. The championship game was between North Carolina and Michigan State. Who was the leading scorer in that game?
Initially, my first instinct has to be Tyler Hansborough. If it's that era of North Carolina. If it was Michigan State 2009, would that have been Cassius Winston, or is that too early for Cassius Winston? I feel like this is some sort of trick question, but I think I have to go with Tyler Hansborough.
Okay, it's not a trick question.
Okay.
I'll give you this too. The leading scorer was on North Carolina. So you're saying Tyler Hansborough?
Well, if you're saying it's not a trick question, yes, I have to go with Psycho T, but
it was actually, and people in the chat, by the way, Draymond Green came off the bench for Michigan State in that game. He was not the leading scorer. It was not Tyler Hansborough. It was actually Ty Lawson. Ty Lawson shot 18 free throws in that game.
Wow.
And he scored 21 points. And there was another great guest, Kadar. This was actually the award or the winner of the most outstanding player in the tournament, Wayne Ellington.
Really good guess.
That's in a way I was going to ask you that, but I thought Wayne Ellington might be a little bit too obvious. Hansborough was a good distraction. Ty Lawson, in my opinion, not as an elite ball knower, was a forgotten player in college basketball. So that was pretty hard. That was pretty hard. I feel like
that was definitely hard, especially when you're talking about that era UNC. The first instinct is always Tyler Hansborough.
Yep. All right. Steak's second question. Actually, Steak, it's not a picture. So do you want to just ask it?
Yeah, I'll ask it. And I think this is a gimme, but also learning that you're 31, maybe not. So in the year 2011, Indiana beat Kentucky on a buzzer beater.
Christian Watford. Come on. Watford for the win.
It was a gimme. Okay, well, my follow-up question was going to be, what did they name the shot? But you obviously know that if you know Christian Watford.
The Watt shot, of course.
Yep. Yeah, okay. God,
okay, so hold on. We're through 2 rounds. We're 1-1.
Yeah.
We're tied. Okay, so that was easy. By the way, you just said 2011. You texted me 2013.
I'm glad I did it right because it's 2011, right?
I will say, if I wasn't an IU fan, that would be a much more difficult shot. But that was like right after I got into Indiana when I was still debating it my senior year of high school. The year after my freshman year, we were #1 in the country preseason. Watford was still on that team. It was still very, very, very much talked about. It's never a doubt.
Send me it. I don't know which one you're talking about, but resend it. I'll definitely ask him. But if it's about Indiana, he's going to know. I pretty much guarantee it.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So 1-1. So we're going Snake. So you're going to ask another question.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me. Okay, fine. This is 2 parts. If you get both, I'll be really impressed.
Okay.
In 2015, obviously, we all remember the infamous Michigan State blocked return punt to win the game against Michigan, I assume. Who was the quarterback at Michigan?
In 2015.
This, in my opinion, is very difficult. Pranav did know the answer, but he's a Michigan guy.
Right, he's a Michigan guy. So they had, I'm trying to remember who the quarterbacks were when I was at college, because that was like the Brady Hoke era into Rich Rod. Or Rich Rod was first and then Hoke. Yeah, Rich Rod was first and then Hoke.
Yep.
So Denard Robinson was gone by that point because he was on the cover of NCAA 14, which means he had to be out of college by then. Who took over after him? Was it Tate Forcier? I'm going Tate Forcier.
Jake Rudock. It's a hard one, but I'm going to give you a chance to get half credit. Can you name the Michigan State quarterback?
Connor Cook.
Yeah, wow. He gets a half a point for that. That's impressive stuff.
Okay, I actually have a question that has to do with Tate Forcier a little bit later. That's funny, and I almost thought about putting him on the screen to see if you could name who he was.
He has such a punchable face. I'd recognize that face anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, I figured that was too easy, but I have a follow-up question for Tate Forcier. All right, so that was a two-part question. Kind of counts, kind of doesn't. All right, I think this is pretty good, but you did throw in that you know the NBA as well. So I wanted
not as strong as the college, but I certainly am willing to test my mettle.
Sure. So I try to dig into some draft picks, and I thought about doing some draft trivia, but then I came across a first overall pick, and I was like, "Ooh, this might be fun to do a trivia based on Anthony Bennett." Okay.
God, okay.
Anthony Bennett, first overall draft pick. We'll never forget it, from the Cleveland Cavaliers. By the way, I did some digging. This was going to be my trivia question, and I was going to give you multiple choice, but it's way too hard. It took Anthony Bennett 33 games to finally have a scoring performance in the double figures. He was that bad. Anthony Bennett was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Kevin Love. He was traded with two players. Do you know who they were?
Are we counting Andrew Wiggins, which is the draft pick that was mainly?
We are.
So Andrew Wiggins for sure. The other player who was traded from Cleveland to Minnesota as part of the Wiggins and Love trade? It's a tough question. I'm trying to think if it was a draft pick or not. Probably not.
No, it was a player.
Okay. It was a player.
If you hear this name, you're going to recognize it, and you're going to go, "Oh, fuck."
I'm trying to think of the players who were on that team at that time, because guys like, Drew Gooden, I think, were kind of past their prime. So Zydrunas Ilgauskas, I think, stayed with the Cavs.
Neither of those.
The entire time.
Right. You're up.
Boobie Miles, I think, was too late for that.
Yeah.
It's a tough question here.
I want to see how many teams this guy's actually been on in his NBA career.
Wiggins and Bennett and Love.
The guy who was involved with the trade, I knew he was a journeyman. He had been on 8 teams in his career. What?
Nothing. I can't say anything. I just wonder. Okay. There's somebody sticking out that I gotta know if it's him.
Darius Miles. That's the name that's coming to my head right now.
That's a pretty good guess, but no.
Okay.
Snowman has officially been stumped.
Was it not? Was Delonte West who banged LeBron's mom, or was he gone?
It was not Delonte West. It was Thaddeus Young.
Oh my God! What a pull by DC, dude! What a pull!
Damn!
That's a sicko pull, and he gets a half point. I think, just like you got a half point for Connor Cook, I think he gets a half point for Wiggins. So me and you are tied up. I think.
I agree. You got that quick. I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be easy. But Thaddeus Young was the challenge in terms of the player to name there. But okay, fair enough. And that was a trade. I'm sorry. Now that I think about that, I think I kind of fucked you. It was a trade involving the 76ers, and he came from the 76ers.
Okay, I was thinking only guys from
Cleveland. So you know what?
Thaddeus Young.
Well, Nav has a bonus question that involves Indiana football. That will be his makeup question.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my bad. I literally just I looked at the fine print, because before I looked at the headline, and it said Wolves acquire Wiggins, Bennett, and Thaddeus Young and send Love. And I was like, oh, those are the 3 players. That'll be a fun question. But now I'm looking at the details. It was involving the 76ers. That was kind of unfair. I think that you get that. So we're still even, Steak.
Yes, I think we're even for sure, yeah.
Do you want to ask the bonus questions?
No, the bonus question should be after we both each read our 5. Do you agree?
Yes,
okay.
I do agree.
Perfect. So my next question, real simple. Who's the leading wide receiver all time in Wisconsin football history?
Jared Abbrederis.
That's a good guess. I want to say he's 2 or 3. I'm going to give you one more guess. Only clue I'll give you is way before him.
Way before him.
I'll give you another guess too.
Great NFL player too.
Way before him. I mean, all the guys I can think of before him are all the running backs, unless it's like like the 80s or 90s, but I assume we're talking like early 2000s, mid 2000s.
I definitely actually how many good running backs and how few good wide receivers they have is why I asked this question.
Don't look at the chat.
I'm not looking at chat.
Is that it, Steak?
I'm not going to say that. It's so hard.
Oh, okay, fine. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Oh, this is good.
That's a tough question. Abradaris was the only name that immediately came to mind. Maybe one of the guys who played with Russ. No, he only played Wisconsin at 1 year.
Sometimes I forget how old I am at 36. I did this shit with Pranay.
Do I know this guy?
Oh, absolutely, I think so. But we're old.
I mean, if it's the guy in the chat, I know that.
Yeah, I'm nothing necessarily coming to mind. Maybe David Boston, but I don't even think he went to Wisconsin. I think he went to Michigan.
Lee Evans. Buffalo Bill.
Yep.
I might have went too far back for you.
No, I definitely remember the name. I just couldn't put it together.
That was pretty good. Okay. Fun. I got a fun one. I got a Big Ten one. And for whatever reason, don't ask me why, but it involves Michigan. The year Appalachian State upset the Michigan Wolverines. I'll never forget it. I was actually in Gainesville. I went to a UF game that year with Greg, and I watched it live before we went out. And it was amazing because, again, as a Notre Dame fan, you'll never forget those times that Michigan and USC suffer. Pranav, do you remember that? I can bring up the highlight video. Anyways, I was going to ask you who some of the players were on Michigan, but I feel like that might have been a little too obvious. And I looked at who played quarterback for Appalachian State. And I feel like you might be able to get this. So that is the question. Who was the quarterback for Appalachian State the year they upset Michigan? Because this guy was a name.
Kev, do not say it, please.
This was a name. The chat open, Steak, don't worry.
Oh, you don't have it open? Okay. Then go ahead.
If it was some random dude who never did anything, I would have asked you this question. But he was a name in college football.
Yeah, I was 11 when that game happened, so I'm trying to reach all the way back.
That's really hard then. I don't expect you to get this. I was 18, 19.
Did he transfer to any school, or was he only at App State?
You know what? I can find that out real quick. Kev, do you know?
Yeah, I guess he said he's got the chat closed, so if you know, say it.
Yeah, I don't have the chat open.
But transferring wasn't really that popular back then.
No, I know.
Okay, I'm looking.
Or do you think it's the NFL? I guess would be a better question.
He did go to the NFL, and he got drafted in the 3rd round.
Okay,
I had no idea.
That makes it a little more realistic to get.
He's a Grey Cup champion, but he was at App State 2006, 2009.
2009. So 2009 draft pick in the 3rd round.
I think it's important to mention in the NFL he played wide receiver.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, you can mention that. Yeah. So the hint there is he's a dual threat. That's hard
for anybody.
Yeah, I don't even unless I ask for more hints, I don't think I'd be able to get this one just because I don't know who the Appalachian State quarterback was for that game, unfortunately.
Armani Edwards. Does that name ring a bell?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely do remember that name as a receiver for sure.
You want to know what my other question, my initial question was going to be, and I changed it last minute. It was going to be who was the backup running back for the Michigan Wolverines in that game?
Mike Hart.
Well, he was the number 1 guy. And
okay.
He was a badass.
He was.
The backup. Steak, do you know?
What year was this?
2005.
I'll just take a stab and say Navarro.
No, it was Brandon Minor.
Never.
I don't know if you remember what that was.
Never.
And their wide receivers were Greg Matthews and
Greg Matthews. You want to hear the weirdest name drop ever?
Yeah.
I went to high school with him.
You went to high school with Greg Matthews?
Edgewater.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. That was a really hard question, especially again if you're not if you're 11 years old when that happened.
I definitely remember the game though. I certainly remember
Mario Manning. That was the other receiver. Yep. All right, Steak. I think this might be your last question, and then we'll ask. I have one more question, which, funny enough, has to do with Tate Forestier. Oh, actually, we're doing Snake. So I'll ask my last question, Snowman. So you know Tate Forcier was a quarterback at Michigan.
Yes.
I hated that motherfucker.
Same here.
What school did he transfer to?
Miami.
Damn it. Okay. I didn't know if that was easy.
Steak, when you watched Tate Forcier back in the day, you gotta know where he ended up. His sister, by the way, super hot.
I don't doubt it. Did you know that, Steak?
Checks out now.
Yeah, I thought that might have been a little tough because it's like he was really hated at Michigan. He had a lot of hype. He had a lot of expectations. And I almost was going to ask you, who was the backup quarterback that started for him the following season?
Oh,
damn it. This should have been the question. Fuck.
Yeah, this should have been the question. The backup who took over for Forcier.
Yep.
At Michigan?
Yep.
What year?
2010.
2010, yeah.
I think so. 2010, 2011, something like that. Good college player.
Denard Robinson.
Yes. Good job.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, that might have stumped you. Fuck.
No, I think I would have got there excited. I talked about Robinson earlier when we were talking about the Michigan quarterbacks. I think I was just making my way through to see what year he would have started because I was like,
yep. I think you got confused on the years, so that threw you off a little bit.
Yes.
All right, Steak. Your final question here is another player. Snowman, I think this is easy.
Okay.
But if you're a Big Ten guy, but Steak is saying that because I'm a Bucks fan.
Yeah, I don't think this is easy at all, to be clear. I think it's easy because he's played for the Bucks.
Can you name this player?
Joey Galloway.
Wow. No, it is not Joey Galloway.
Oh.
Wait. You want one more guess? Big Ten receiver. Way less of a big name than Joey Galloway.
It's a good guess, though.
Yeah, it is.
Braylon Edwards?
No, he was 17, but no. Okay. I thought it was going to be easy.
Aurelius Ben.
Okay.
I only thought it was going to be easy because it was like the only receiver ever come out of Illinois, but you don't know he's from Illinois because you only see his plays on the Bucks. So then I realized that when Steak said it, I'm like, oh yeah, that actually is a really tough question. So, okay. I think we were actually,
those were very difficult. Those were very difficult. Yes.
And now also now that I know that you're 31, I think asking you questions from like the 2006, 2009 range is a little unfair. But
I'll take my chances with it. Listen, these were good questions. I gotta study up, I guess. Listen, I expect better results for myself.
No, I don't know that you have to study up, but I would be curious to ask you more questions focused between like 2014 to 2020. So, because that's when you start to get like 15, 16, like all you really care about is sports. It's right before you have like real responsibilities and shit.
For sure.
I'm just gonna say, I think we may have gone too hard because the chat, with the exception of Kev, who is a Michigan fan, and a lot of these were Michigan based, the chat is saying that these were insanely hard. But I do have a bonus question from Pranav. It feels a little bit like a Michigan, Indiana jab, but I have to do it anyway. So it's, which Iowa player returned a bobbled pass for a pick six in an infamous comeback win against Indiana in 2009?
Which Iowa player?
Yeah,
so now a Michigan fan has to go to Iowa to try to make their points? I mean, where's the Michigan love? Which Iowa player returned a bobbled? This is a defensive player we're talking about?
Yeah. I have no idea how you're going to get this, but.
So it's an Iowa defensive player that he's talking about a pick six when Indiana was probably what, like 2-10, 3-9. I mean, who didn't beat Indiana that season? Iowa defensive player in 2009. Bob Sanders. I think he's too late for that. I don't.
Tyler Stash. That's a brutal one.
I will say I never followed Indiana football until I stepped foot on campus. I will certainly.
Okay, just so we know moving forward, because this is very fun to do. What year was that?
2012.
Okay. Yeah.
What year were you born? 94?
Correct.
Okay. That's fair.
So
we need to ask this before we do trivia.
I know. I'm just realizing that. But honestly, at the end of the day, it was still fun because these are challenging questions. It's okay to stump the snowman. Neither one of our questions were like super lopsided and being super easy, or he couldn't get any of them. He got some. Everybody's saying the Aurelius Ben question was extremely hard. That's on me, because again, it's kind of like when I asked that Antoine Randall question. He's like the only receiver to come out of Indiana, but I put a picture of him up in Indiana uniform. if you put a really,
oh man, you're proud of me for knowing who Antoine Randall is, right? Recognizing that, you got to be proud of yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was
Chicago Bears quarterbacks coach. I mean, we love Randall.
So man, if you have the time, and we usually typically do this at 6 o'clock, would you be interested in talking some college football?
Sure.
Okay.
I still got some beer left. I'm happy to stick around.
Yeah. I got a bottle, by the way. I got a bottle. I think I told you guys this when I went to Walgreens. I went to the liquor store by accident. True story. There's a liquor store at Walgreens next to the Walgreens. This needs to be a weekly thing. Yeah, the feedback was great. Everybody loved it. Go ahead, Steak.
I'm not saying weekly, but we have to run this back one time with a little more recent, I think. Like, we got to run this back with a little bit more recent things, I think.
Yes.
Like 2010 and earlier or sooner.
No. Later. Dumb fuck.
2010 and later, yeah.
Yes.
I just finished this entire espresso martini.
That's okay. But I bought a bottle. I went to oh no, I remember. I didn't go there by accident. I'm a fucking liar. I went to find Bush Apple and I couldn't find it.
Sold out everywhere, dude. Only I can find it.
Remember I told you the lady that worked there said she said I was off this weekend. I went on vacation. We got Bush Apple in going into the weekend. They sold out of it. She said she just got back and that she didn't even get to sell one of them. And then she said, I was on my way out and I was like looking at the whiskeys and she's like, you like whiskey? I was like, yeah. She goes, I got a sale right now, a bottle of Jim Beam. It's like a sunshine or lemon or some shit. It's a rice. It's made of rice or something. $7.50. So I still have this $7.50 bottle of Jim Beam. I just been putting it with Diet Coke and a little lime. It's quite nice.
Do you not remember what the server said to us at that bar? Because I snuck you in that can of Apple, right? You drank it and we just had it sitting on the table. And she walks up, she goes, where'd you get that from? Because we've been sold out of that for weeks.
It's crazy. It's okay. Bush Apple's okay. It's not really my cup of tea. All right, Snowman, just real quick. I was surprised you didn't say college football was one of your top sports, because when I listen to you talk college football, it sounds like you know it insane.
No, when you said college football, I added the ones in addition to that.
Oh,
I was saying yes. Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I didn't even look at the question I asked you. I was moving around and I looked at your DMs and it said CBB and your baseball too. You're a big baseball guy.
I mean, I've been watching every sport for so long. I feel like my own ego is going to say I can answer questions in any category, but yeah, it's certainly baseball, basketball, NFL, the college sports. I feel good that I can handle myself in those trivia battles.
You said CBB or NFL. MLB was the next one. That's fine too, but it was all caps. That's why it caught my attention. I'm like a squirrel sometimes. But anyways, week 0, I saw your snowy 3. You came pretty close to hitting it. Love that you faded UNLV. You said a team with Alex Orji as their quarterback was not scoring 48.5 points. That was a ballsy wager. I loved it. You also did you hit Iowa State?
Mm-hmm.
Great job.
Iowa State. Yeah, I ended up running a 5-game, 1 pick in each game for a parlay. Those are my top 3. But the other 2 hit. I had the over in Western Kentucky and Hawaii money line. So it was only Fresno that sold the bag in week 0. So strong start to the year.
Great job. So going into week 1, particularly on Thursday or Friday, do you have anything locked in or anything that you're focusing on?
I'm not loving tomorrow's slate. Like, I like this Nebraska-Cincinnati game. I do like Nebraska in that game. I take from your facial reaction, you don't like it, but everything else I think is a little bit tough to nail there. So I'm taking a moneyline parlay centered around Nebraska and NC State, and then throwing in a couple of those 20-point favorites to cut the juice down. And, you know, if UCF and Scott Frost lose in their first game, then so be it. I'll take it on the chin. But I really like what Nebraska's done this offseason. You know, bringing in Dana Holgerson as offensive coordinator to work with Raiola. They actually brought him in at the end of last year, and he coached the last 3 weeks of the season. So bringing in Dane Key from Kentucky and the Kentucky quarterbacks coach, feels like Nebraska is going to have a much more up-tempo, high-powered offense, and they already have a recruiting and talent advantage over Cincinnati. This game is in Arrowhead in Kansas City. I hear rumors there's going to be like 90% Nebraska fans there, so it should be a home game. Of course, with Mini Mahomes, Dylan Raiola playing in Arrowhead, he's going to want to have a big game to show off to his guy, Patrick Mahomes. I think Nebraska goes out and takes care of business tomorrow.
So that was going to be my question, is if you're betting Nebraska, Steak and I are kind of torn on Nebraska. We've got guys in our chat and our following that we really respect who like Nebraska, Picks with Deej being one of them. And there's a few others I keep forgetting. But there's enough smart people, and now you included, who like Nebraska. I don't think I'm going to be that guy that fades them. But the one thing I wasn't buying into that I kept hearing about Nebraska was like Matt Rule year 3. And I just think in this era of college football, it's not the same as like getting your guys in, getting the other guys out. And it's like now it's year 3 of your players that you recruited with the transfer portal and everything like that. So much turnover. I think it could be a little bit different. So I was apprehensive on buying into Nebraska. So you're going to take them with the money line parlay. I'm sorry. You said with NC State?
With NC State, and that's like minus 150, which I guess if you really wanted to go for a super juicy play, you could. I decided to cut it down with a couple of the 20-point favorites. So again, if they lose, then I'll just be really pissy for a day or so and move on.
Yeah,
that's my favorite play of the week, Snowman. NC State minus 13.5.
Yeah, they want revenge from that bowl game last season. They got in a fight during that game. I don't know if it's a rivalry, but they are super close to each other.
I think it's a rivalry, man. I think it's a rivalry, and I think NC State owes ECU an ass whooping. I absolutely think they're going to give it to them tomorrow for sure.
I might have to ride with you on the spread then. But yeah, I definitely like NC State to take care of business.
Wait, is that game tomorrow or is that Friday?
Tomorrow.
Oh, NC State is tomorrow. Okay. There was one that I was looking at, Snowman, and it's been on my mind all day for some stupid reason. But I know you said you're not into the slate tomorrow, but I'm just curious. Do you have an opinion on Rutgers going into this season?
I think that Rutgers is a team that is a little bit stylistically overrated because they have Greg Schiano as head coach. And I think people think that he brings this like super tough-minded physical nature to the program. And I'm not necessarily saying that he doesn't, but Rutgers is also a team that is going through a lot of changes this year. Outside of Kaliak Manis sticking around, they're losing basically, their whole offense in their running back and Kyle Monungai. They didn't bring in any single player in the transfer portal on offense. As I'm looking like here, maybe it's a little different. At least the chart that I'm looking at is showing that everybody's remaining from last season. I think that, this team is really going to only go as far as Kaliak Manis can bring them, and he's more of a game manager. And unless you see one of their running backs really pick up and show out and replace that production they had, I think this is going to be a team that is going to be a lot more defensively focused and kind of in closer, lower scoring games. This is another game that steamed. It was like Rutgers minus 10 as it opened, and it's up to like 15 and a half. I honestly would be looking at some sort of value on Ohio plus the points at that point until Rutgers can go and prove to me that they're able to stomp out lesser competition, because there's a team every single season that's going to have like 2 random Big Ten wins we are not expecting them to have. And then when they're playing worse teams in the Big Ten, they're going to lose. It's just like a team that you feel like you can never really trust.
I thought Rutgers was a really interesting team this year. I'm just going to show it real quick. They're up to 15. Also, the total has been bet up to 50.5, 51. That opened 47.
Strictly a line read. My play in this game is the over. Strictly a line read. I do not think a game with Rutgers, kind of like everything Snowman just said, plays into my line read. They didn't bring in anyone on offense. They lost Monungai, absolutely their best offensive player last year. And they have Kaliak Manis, who no one sees as anything special with the exception of a game manager. He had like 2,000 yards passing last year. I just don't think a Rutgers total belongs in the 50s, man. And the fact that it is even bet up there, I understand, if I'm not mistaken, it opened at like 46.5, 47, still high in my opinion. If you guys would have sat here today and told me it was at 42, I would have believed you. So seeing it at 50 is making alarm bells go off in my head.
Cam is money's asking thoughts on the total. I like the under. Cam, I was with you.
Yeah,
I was with you. I like the under, and I get what Steak is saying to a certain extent, but like if you look at Ohio, their offense put up points last year, and I don't know. I wasn't sure what people thought of Rutgers. I posted the tweet earlier today with Callie McManus of like, do you guys think he's good or not? Most of the comments said no. He's the worst the worst quarterback in the Big Ten, and I'm okay with that because I didn't like him at Minnesota, and I faded Minnesota that year. But I just wasn't sure what to think about Rutgers because I looked at their schedule last year and I was like, man, they had some games that they actually surprisingly won, or they were really competitive in. So, just being a Big Ten guy, I wasn't sure if you had a read.
There's going to be a game this year. I don't know what it is yet. But there's going to be some game where everybody is looking at Rutgers. It's like, this is such a sharp play. They're going to go out, and I guarantee you they shit the bed in that game.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all. Somebody asked about Army and the Tarleton State Texans. Was that a serious? Degen, what are your thoughts?
Serious, dude. This Rowdy Rhymes, he's the man. He's deep in his bag.
W. Rowdy.
I got to tell you, the fact that Army is a 14-point favorite against Tarleton State seems incredibly short. But does Army still have I think they lost their running back. Who did their running back go to?
They lost their running back, Kanye Uno. He went to Arizona State. And then their quarterback, Bryson Daly, graduated. So a triple option scheme where their main 2 option guys are now gone. I do agree this seems shockingly low, regardless of the fact that they lost those guys. I mean, I believe this is Tarleton State's first year D1. If they are officially D1 yet, this is certainly a team that you'd expect Army to be able to run all over. And we see this all the time with teams who don't have any experience playing these military academies. If you're not practicing for the triple option defense, you can get absolutely cooked and absolutely shredded by the option, even busting out big runs. So this line being so short may be telling that this is a Tarleton State play or maybe an under, because if Army's not breaking away and getting those big plays and not able to run the score up, we know the clock is going to drain for sure.
I will tell you this, and back in my day playing high school football in 2005, nobody really passed. All you did is run the triple option. Preparing for it is a motherfucker, but it is like, it's like science. As much as it is physical, you have to look at the whiteboard and know, just, you don't have to follow the football. It's like, watch the guards, get in your spot, take enough people out, have somebody on the running back, whoever the ball carrier is. Someone's on the quarterback, someone's on the fullback, someone's on the running back. It is a lot of discipline, and you're right. If you're not familiar with it, you're going to get torn the fuck up. My only thought is this: Tarleton State had the entire offseason to practice for the triple option.
This is their second game, though. They had a different team they were praying for first, Portland State. Now, I'm sure you're praying more for Army than Portland State, but I don't think they can spend all offseason doing triple option.
No, defense. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Interesting. That is always why if I saw a team that had a bye week before they played a military school, I would lean into them a little bit more because they'd have that time to prepare. Okay. Oh, that'll be interesting. I wanted to bring up something else. You said if UCF loses outright to Jacksonville State, you'll take it on the chin. Is that one of your money? That's one of your legs in your money line parlay. You're going to put UCF in there?
Yeah, because again, I'm just trying to knock down minus 150 to a bettable price. So throw in a couple big favorites, and Jacksonville State is losing their head coach. Rich Rod is gone. Their quarterback's gone. Their running back's gone. Like, this is going back to it being a bad Sun Belt or whatever conference team they're in. I think that UCF with Scott Frost, I'm not ready to say that they're going to go back to national champion level UCF days under Scott Frost. Right. But this is definitely a team with way more talent. Their quarterback is Taven Jackson, a former Indiana quarterback. I certainly do not expect them to lose this game at home as 21-point favorites.
I thought the quarterback was the guy from FAU, Cam
Fancher.
No, I'm pretty sure the quarterback is Taven Jackson.
Well, maybe Taven Jackson beat him in a competition. I think Fancher is there, but he was awful. And maybe it looked like that line opened 17.5. It's been bet up a little bit. I don't know. Jacksonville State's a weird team. I guess when I see them, I think of them as like Arkansas State. Like, they're just kind of gritty, but they're not necessarily good. UCF, in my opinion,
I think Jacksonville State's gonna be a completely different program this year. I really liked them last year. Really liked them last couple of years under Rich Rod. Yeah. But with Rich Rod being gone, with all the talent that they've lost from last season, they might figure it out, but it's not going to be week one.
That I was going to highlight that, Steak. Thank you. I saw Beeve. I don't know if you follow Shady Beeve, but he put out a POD on Twitter and said he's going to be on Buffalo plus 17.5 against Minnesota. Listen, I'm not a PJ Fleck guy. All of a sudden, I just found out, Steak revealed to me that he's all of a sudden a PJ Fleck guy. It's kind of tough to accept that your good friend is a PJ Fleck guy. He's just not really my style. But I don't know. I mean, typically if I'm betting on Buffalo, there's something about Buffalo I like. I don't really know anything about Buffalo anymore. Like, the days of Khalil Mack are kind of over. If anything, I like their college basketball team a little bit more recently than I have their football team. But they're not pathetic, in terms of like a smaller school coming in and playing a team like Minnesota. But do you know anything about the Gophers this year? They're 17, 18-point favorites. It's a low total. Well, I don't know. 44.5 might be a little bit higher. I know nothing about Minnesota, so I'm going to stay away from this game, but we do have somebody asking if you have a read on Minnesota. You got anything?
I don't mind the Buffalo pick. Buffalo is a super experienced team. All their starters are juniors and seniors and grad transfers. Minnesota, on the other end, is going with a freshman quarterback who's never played before. I tend to be more on the pro PJ Fleck side of things. Not that I would want him as my university's head coach, but I do think he's a guy that is going to run a good program more often than not and keep you competitive for for the most, like not necessarily competing for national championships, but in any given season, any given game, they're competitive to make a bowl game. And depending on how good the team is, we have seen success. He's doing pretty good recruiting. I do believe he brought in this safety, Coy Parrish, last season, who's supposed to be like the next stud safety in the NFL. Like this guy is supposed to be an absolute beast. But I think the issue here is going to be offense. They are bringing back Darius Taylor, their leading running back from last year. And I think we're going to see a heavy dose of him in this game. But still, if it's going to be a run-heavy approach with a low total, which I think is implying that, I can definitely see this being a competitive game. We're getting 17 points. Doesn't seem all that crazy.
Okay. By the way, hey, Degen, where's Tarleton State located?
Texas.
Are you Degen?
I don't think you were going to get it, so I helped you.
I'm not going to fucking get it. Will you let me try?
PJ Fleck pitch, or because it's pro PJ Fleck, I don't get to.
No, you get to have a rebuttal.
I think the fucking hate for PJ Fleck has reached a level that I can't agree with. That's what I think. It's not that I'm that pro PJ Fleck. As a matter of fact, I think me and Degen have this thing where we actually think we're cool enough to call coaches cornballs when they act like cornballs. Because, like, let's be honest, dude, 40, 50-year-old dudes around 18-year-old kids trying to be cool to recruit them. Like, sometimes it ends up being this very corny thing. We've seen it. And I do think PJ Fleck's a little corny. But now I'm seeing nothing but hate for a guy who's 20 games over 500 at the University of Minnesota, not football school, by the way, and 6-0 in bowl games. I don't give a fuck if you care about bowl games. They care about them at Minnesota. Yeah, honestly, Pop-Tart's an awesome bowl. I've been there. Great fucking thing. They got a literal human who dresses up as a Pop-Tart and runs around and throws out Pop-Tarts. It's a really good time. Cam Ward was in it last year, in case you give a fuck. So was Rocco Beck. Doesn't matter. I'm more interested in how Minnesota ended the season. I was impressed. And they won their bowl game against Virginia Tech. They played Penn State to a 1-point game. They beat Wisconsin 24-7 at Wisconsin, and they beat Illinois, who had the same guys last year, Altmaier, a team everybody loved, and that was at Illinois. So I like Minnesota, and I understand that they're starting a true freshman, I believe, Drake Lindsay, and that obviously is cause for concern, but I have to fade this Buffalo hype, man. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't agree with everything Snowman said, but I'm going to see people putting this team in the playoff. Like, I've seen the prediction and the hype go so far for Buffalo that I've seen people putting this team in the playoff, and I'm respectfully going to fade that. I think fucking Buffalo doesn't score much, and I think Minnesota wins this game by more than 3 touchdowns.
You make some good points, and I will never forget when you put in our newsletter, you put Minnesota against Penn State, and I was texting Greg on the side, and I was like, God fucking damn it, I got to put this in the newsletter, and I so badly want to keep it out, but if they cover, I'll never hear the end of it. And I did, and I was watching it at Greg. He had his I think his child turned 1 at the birthday, and I was following on my phone. Everybody's mingling, having a good time, being normal, sane individuals, and I'm just following Minnesota and Penn State. And they were like, I don't even remember, 14, 15-point underdogs, and they were like winning outright. And the whole time I kept telling Greg, I was like, fucking Steak was right about Minnesota, man. Maybe you're right about Minnesota. So I'll wait. I'll sit on the sideline. Snowman, I want to ask you a question about Iowa State since you just bet on them. Our guy in the chat, Special K, Kevin, he's got a vendetta against Rocco Beck. He had Kansas State, and I follow him on Twitter, and I saw him bitching 17 million times. Oh, Kansas State should be winning this game. Oh, couple turnovers, couple flags, couple this, couple that. I say hogwash. It was a bunch of baby activity over there from losing a wager, but he's moved on quite well. I'll give him that. He's handled it, but he's still not a Rocco Beck guy. Steak and I kind of like Rocco Beck. We really do. I can't tell you I'm the biggest Matt Campbell guy. That's for goddamn sure. But he just pointed it out, and I got to tell you, it does look a little low too. Iowa State 14-point favorites at home against South Dakota Coyotes, the Coyotes. I'm just curious. Now they're coming back from Ireland, no rest, no bye week. College kids though. Do you got anything on Iowa State? You just bet on them. Do you like them moving forward, or are you going to be off of them?
I do like them moving forward. I think that the Big 12 is very wide open. There's like 4 or 5 teams I think have a chance to win it outright, maybe even up to 6. Like Iowa State, I still think Kansas State has a chance, even though they got cooked. I know everyone's going to be very down on Kansas State after that, but Iowa State's defense is for real. So if the main criticism about Kansas State is like, oh, well, their offense looked like shit and Avery Johnson sucks. Okay, week 1 in Ireland, week 0 in Ireland, I'm not going to give him, he's completely banned. This is the death of the program going against one of the top defenses. I think there's a very realistic chance that Iowa State could be like a top 10, top 15 defense by the end of the season. I certainly agree the South Dakota line seems super short. I feel like it has to be on the, the flyback and the jet lag and all of that. There's no reason to me why Iowa State shouldn't just go out and run train. I mean, you can, of course, all the main arguments apply. This is South Dakota's Super Bowl. It's the biggest game in program history. They've had all offseason to prepare for this game and work up a strategy. They're going to care a lot more versus Iowa State, who just spent a week in Ireland and is now coming back. And, they get to, go bang all their girlfriends celebrating the win. And, oh, we got some practice after a win. You got, you're all high and mighty after that. But it just doesn't seem like a world where Iowa State shouldn't blow them out. And with the line that low, one of my golden rules of gambling, if a line looks too good to be true, it probably is.
In this instance, with the travel back, I actually think fading Iowa State with an FCS program that's considered to be one of the better ones will be more popular than we think.
I agree, especially what we just saw from Idaho State. I now think that South Dakota State will be very popular. I think you make a good point about Kansas State. As much as when I was watching that game, Avery Johnson really disappointed me, and I was like, man, he just kind of didn't look that good. He did take advantage of some blown coverages, but I'm kind of with you. I was talking about it with Steak when we were going through the board, and I was like, do you think, in our takeaways and our recap, I'm like, there's somewhere on this schedule, Avery Johnson is going to go ballistic, and the Kansas State offense is going to go ballistic, and they're going to be like, enough with the fucking dad and brother fighting. Enough of the bullshit. Let's get right. They have a really soft
that game was pouring in the first half. Pouring. There were 5-6 fumbles in the first half. That game was literally up to anybody. It was almost just the bounce of the football was going to determine who won that game. I think we're going to see a lot of people down on Kansas State because it was a really bad performance by them. Don't get me wrong. They did not look good at all. Offensively, they struggled. Defensively, at times, they were letting Iowa State march down the field, letting Rocco Beck sling it to these, no-name receivers. Like the receivers that they brought in, Chase Sowell, everyone was super high on him. I don't think he caught one pass in that game.
No, he didn't. I think the play calling really fucked Kansas State, and I think they need to make some adjustments, and that'll be interesting to see. I think they need to stop passing on first down so much. I think it's okay to get in like 2nd and 6 with that type of quarterback and that type of offense. But yeah, we don't have to spend too much time on that. There are some marquee games this weekend that I would love to run by you. I got to know where you stand and what your thoughts are.
Hard to cut you off, but I don't know what this is. My wife just brought it in. Has anyone drank this before?
2-turn tea, iced tea, 5% alcohol. What does the top say? Does that say Noka?
Yeah, Noka. Well, we're about to try it out.
I was going to try to say Noka these nuts on your face, but it doesn't really work out.
With that type of branding, it looks more like a weed drink than a hard seltzer or something.
Yeah, I didn't even know weed drinks were good. Yeah, I need to go re-up, by the way, and finish my $7.50 bottle of Jim Beam and a little Diet Coke. So I'm gonna go do that real quick. I'd love to get your thoughts on Auburn and Baylor. So Auburn is a team, so they're favored by 2. Baylor is a Big 12 team that it's kind of in the running odds wise to win the Big 12. There's like 5 or 6 teams that are all 6-1, which I think is very fun and interesting for the division or the conference rather to pay attention to. But State kind of sold me on Baylor. But I'm concerned. So, man, it kind of seems like you bet similarly to us in the sense that like the lines are suspicious, or maybe like the overall perception on teams. If it's too lopsided, or, you're not necessarily looking to fade the public, but you still consider what everybody's on or off of.
Yeah, I used to be a big splits guy, but not anymore.
Yeah, me too. Same. I was into it for like 2 years because when it works, you feel like you have a fucking cheat code. But now I just don't understand about the, like what you're looking at, what books, etc. Although I do like with Pikkit, at least it says like the dollar amount, how many bets, it feels a little bit more legitimate. But splits we used to want to fade. We're starting to think that the Pikkit splits are a little bit sharper. So we're in our head. But anyways, Auburn with Jackson Arnold. I feel like nobody likes this team. I was on Owner's Box earlier today, but some people were telling me that they see Jackson Arnold long shot Heisman picks. Auburn as a little bit of a dark horse. I'm not getting that vibe. I'm getting people are nervous about Auburn. They don't like going in or betting on them. They have a 7.5 win total. I think that's kind of where they're projected to land, 7-5, 6-6 ish. But being a favorite on the road against Baylor, do you have a play in this game?
I'm kind of with you on Auburn. I'm not a Jackson Arnold believer. I was on the Ramble Now stream a few days ago, and MJ was giving a passionate spiel for Auburn and Jackson Arnold. I love his dedication and his belief in them, but I can't really agree. You know, Jackson Arnold is a guy who was super hyped coming out of high school, and he hasn't lived up to it. He's been in, I think, fine situations at Oklahoma, honestly. Like, yes, they dealt with some injuries last year, the receiver position, but that was halfway through the year when they had Marcel Reed at QB. When Arnold was healthy, for the most part, the receivers were too. Auburn has one of the best receiving groups in the country. They have Cam Coleman, and they're bringing in, I believe, Eric Singleton, the transfer from Georgia Tech. Yep. So there's no excuse for Jackson Arnold if he doesn't go out and get it done. But I also like Baylor in this game. Baylor's a team I'm very high on this year in the Big 12. They bring back so many guys on offense. Their quarterback is back in Sawyer Robertson. Their top 2 running backs from last season are back. Their top 2 receivers from last season are back in Josh Cameron and Ashton Hawkins. And they're bringing in Kobe Prentice from Alabama. So their offense is just absolutely stacked at the skill position guys. And this has always been kind of a, you know, I don't want to say they're a defensive team because last year they were certainly not a great defensive team, but Dave Aranda is a defensive coach. He was a defensive coordinator at Wisconsin before coming over to Baylor. He's been at the program a long time. So if we can trust in him for the defense to be solid, which I do, I really do like their offense. And Baylor's team I'm very high on. Really, the main reason why I would look at Auburn in this game is because of the sketch line. To me, I think Baylor should be favored in this game. I don't understand why Auburn is the favorite, especially at 2.5. But if the general public is higher on Auburn, they are an SEC team taking out a Big 12. So, you know, this would be a game that if I see the entire world's on Baylor, maybe I would stay off it. But I definitely like Baylor.
So I'll first of all say I don't agree with Degen. I didn't see a soul that necessarily liked Auburn until MJ liked it, and he's an influential dude. And now that he likes Auburn, I have seen some long shot plays on that. But I just want to mention, you mentioned one thing I 100% agree with. Most people see this as one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. And the irony is, what is Auburn always known for? Having terrible receivers. That was kind of the whole thing about Bo Nix. Is like, you can't blame Bo Nix. These are the worst receivers like in the history of the SEC. You can't be mad that he can't play with these guys. And then what does he do? He goes to Oregon with actual receivers and he balls the fuck out. But then you mentioned something else I think is important. In a matchup like this, I really do think people favor the SEC, especially since it's not even like known to be a Big 12 juggernaut. It's Baylor. And I think in matchups like this, people definitely favor the SEC.
I think
Maisie, go away.
Steak, you can mute if you need to. No, you're fine.
I thought I did.
I caught up on most of that, but I think Snowman makes a really good point. The fact that Auburn is the favorite in this game is kind of scaring me shitless. Don't you think you want to lean Auburn? Steak? No?
I like I said, did you hear what I said, or did you just get back?
I heard a little bit of what you said about MJ liking him, and now all of a sudden people like him.
I don't know, man. I think people aren't as out on Jackson Arnold as you think, and I think people love the receivers, and I think people love betting the SEC in games like this.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Snowman, do you have a play Friday? Because there's another game that I want to bring to your attention, but if you don't.
In this game or in general? I will be on Baylor tomorrow.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I do like Baylor.
That line scares me. But overall, team to team, I like Baylor, and I like them a lot, and I don't like Auburn.
This is, I guess what I have to say for this with Baylor is Baylor's a team that I'm high on preseason. When I did my Big 12 preseason win total projection stream, I had 5 teams, all with 9 wins, Baylor being one of them. So I think they have a chance to compete for the conference championship. And if I'm early to the party on Baylor, maybe that makes sense why they're dogs in this game. Again, you know, if we think Auburn's going to go downhill, well, that means they have to start up high to go downhill, right? So maybe that this is the high period where the books are still viewing them highly and the public is still viewing them highly. Maybe we're just a little bit too much in the weeds because we're looking at this every single day and super locked in. And we're like, okay, well, based on what we see, Baylor looks like the better team and they're at home. Because remember, in college football and NFL, home field advantage is worth about 3 points. So the books are saying on a neutral site, Auburn is 5.5 points better. Yeah, that doesn't track to me at all.
Yeah, you're right. You are right.
Scares me. The line scares me. I want to like Baylor. You know what? I want to like Baylor in over their win total, and I think I stayed off entirely because this whole game throws me off.
Remember what I said? Take this game out and bet them to win the Big 12.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, the game Friday I want to ask you about, Snowman, is the UNLV Rebels in Sam Houston State. You faded UNLV on the team total. Great wager. Steak took the over in that game. He hit, so 2-0 between the gentlemen on this stream. I had nothing in the game, but I was telling Steak the whole time my biggest regret of the weekend was not fading UNLV directly, whether it was first half or the spread for Idaho. I mean, we're not Dan Mullen guys. We're not Orgy guys. But you made a good point. I commented something about Orgy. You said he only played about 2 or 3 games in Michigan anyways. Calandria looked pretty good. The defense was terrible. The Idaho State quarterback cooked them 30 of 50 for like, I don't know, a couple hundred yards. But they go in and play Sam Houston State now. And I'm wondering, do I want to buy low on this defense and this UNLV team against Sam Houston State, who I feel like people are kind of attracted to? They're kind of an appealing small school who's been scrappy as of late. They were really good ATS, but now they got Phil Longo. And as much as we don't like Dan Mullen, we're not Phil Longo guys either. They go out against Western Kentucky. They were 10.5-point dogs. They lose 41-24. Western Kentucky did whatever they wanted to them. I think Sam Houston State was the beneficiary of a scoop and score. So that kind of helped them with the 24 points. Their quarterback was 19 of 30. He didn't really do much. Hunter Watson, if I'm mistaken, I think that's his name. Something around there. But I kind of want to buy blow on UNLV and just think that, listen, UNLV opens this season. They didn't take their opponent seriously. The offense did enough. They survived a scare. I kind of like betting on teams the following week after that. So now they're laying 9-10 on the road. I feel like Sam Houston State might be a little trendy home dog here. Whereas I think, and Steak does as well. If I believe, Steak, you kind of turned me on to them. I'm leaning into UNLV here. What do you think?
You're asking me or Steak?
You. He knows how I feel.
Okay. The thing with UNLV, I love the idea of fading Orgy. Again, I think that this guy is one of the worst quarterbacks we've seen in college football in the last 20 years. And it's not even for what we've seen on the field, which is horrific. Just envision this. Last season, 2 seasons ago, Michigan wins the national championship. Jim Harbaugh leaves. Sherrod Moore takes over. They decide to not address the QB position because the assumption was Alex Orgy, who was a high-profile recruit as a dual-threat guy, was going to go over and take the job. His competition was Davis Warren in that camp. They had 6 months from the day the spring game starts, which is like March or April, to opening day is like 6 months. From what they saw every single day in practice, and they said, we cannot play this guy. He is so bad at QB, we just cannot play this guy. And they went with Warren. And when Warren was horrible, then they said, okay, fine, we'll try Orgy, who then proved everybody right by not being able to play the quarterback position. So going to UNLV, I love the idea of fading him, but clearly Dan Mullen has a very short leash with him. He was benched after that first possession where he fumbled into the end zone. And we saw Calandria basically being the main quarterback unless they brought in Orgy for like specific QB run situations. I think we'll probably see that again this week. I expect Calandria to be the main QB for this UNLV team. I think we'll see Orgy come in some certain rush packages on, 3rd and short, 4th and short, goal line, stuff like that. But I think we're going to see Mullen realize early on, okay, we can't actually play this guy at QB, which would be way more likely for me to want to back UNLV. I would go with the over in this game instead of backing UNLV directly. We just saw a shootout in the last game with Sam Houston State. Both these teams have fast tempo offense, and I am certainly not a believer in UNLV's defense ability to bounce back after that game against Idaho State. Idaho State is not a D2 powerhouse. They're not a Big Sky powerhouse. This is a bottom of the barrel team from last season. So until I see UNLV actually stop anybody, I'm going to say their defense is really, really bad. And I think both teams are going to continue to play at up-tempo paces. I like the 61.5 over if you want to back UNLV, and I do think I'll probably take action on that as well.
Very fair. Steak, you good with all that?
Yeah, I like UNLV. I can't help it. I get what you're saying about not wanting to have defense that bad and to bounce back, but I'm such an anti-Phil Longo guy.
Yeah.
That I actually think it's such a perfect spot for a defense to bounce back. And I don't think they could be anywhere near as bad as they were last week because it's just one of the worst defensive performances we've ever seen. The kid on Idaho State threw the ball 50 times for 380 yards. Not just that, I'm pretty sure a running back on Idaho State had 100 yards, and the backup running back averaged 13 yards a carry. So it couldn't. And for that reason, I actually will buy into a little bit better play. But also, I like what I saw from the UNLV offense. Ben Thomas, the running back, absolutely balled out. And I liked what I saw from Calandria. Orgy sucks. I think we all know that. I honestly hope he gets as little playing time as possible as a UNLV backer.
All right, let's talk Saturday. We got about 15 minutes left. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. By the way, the crowd was excellent. Snowman, we appreciate you coming on. Make sure you follow Snowman at Snowman_sports. He does his Twitch stream as well, pretty much every day going into the weekends as well. That's excellent. If you're in the Pikkit YouTube channel right now, which of course you are if you're watching, make sure you subscribe and download Pikkit to sync all your sports books and track all your wagers. Let's get into Saturday, big noon.
Sorry, you forgot one game that I think is important enough to interrupt you. Georgia Tech, Colorado is Friday.
Ooh, that's a fun one. You're right. I'm so sorry. I got nothing. But I am curious if Snowman's got an opinion on Georgia Tech because I was doing my research into Georgia Tech with Brent. Is it Brent Key?
Yes, their head coach.
Does that sound right? And Haynes King, and I wasn't a Haynes King guy, but I watched him last year, and I got to tell you, he impressed me. He played a little bit better than I thought he was or capable of playing from watching him at Texas A&M. But the thing about about Georgia Tech is I just think that they're starting to maybe potentially become a serious program in the ACC. Like the ACC needs more of them. It can't just be Clemson, and then outside of that, I guess obviously you've got Florida State is kind of a joke now, but there's these schools that are kind of become 7-8 win teams regularly and maybe not be pushovers on their schedule. I thought it was insane that the top 10 ACC recruits, 3 of them are going to Georgia Tech. Like, what the fuck are they selling over there? That's wild to me. Getting 1 is one thing, but 3 out of 10 was baffling. So anyways, I maybe wanted to buy into that because I like how they ended the year, 7.5 win total. I asked Steak, I said, is Georgia Tech trendy? He said, absolutely, they're trendy. I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I'm out. I'm going to stay off. I'm just going to monitor. There's plenty of other schools I'll get involved with. But opening up the season on the road against Colorado is a really tough ask because I know Colorado, no Shador, no Travis Hunter, Deion Sanders is done, but like Boulder is still not an easy place to play.
Deion Sanders is not done.
What's that?
Deion Sanders isn't done.
I thought Deion Sanders retired.
No, that press conference is announced that he's not retiring and he is doing the season.
It was good news.
I'm a total fucking idiot. Well, anyways, so Deion Sanders is coming back. But the game in general with Georgia Tech playing in Boulder at Colorado just seems really weird to me. An ACC team playing in Colorado is an unfamiliar place. And there's no way I could lay points with any school doing that. Could be NC State. It could be anybody. So I'm out. I don't know if I want to bet Colorado. I don't really know who their quarterback is going to be. I don't know what their plan's going to be. I'm sure some people do. Steak, you're bobbing your head. Do you have an opinion? Who is it?
Caden Salter from Liberty.
Caden Salter from Liberty. And if I remember correctly, he's a guy that can also run.
Yeah, he's mobile, and I think he's solid. I
like Salter.
Yeah, me too. I'll toss it over to Snowman, but the only thing I'll say is I have a hard time believing Deion Sanders, who easily could have got out of this job by the fact that he could have said, hey, my health is not at its best. We've seen guys do that before, Urban Meyer to be specific, but he easily could have got out of coaching this year or anymore if he really wanted to. And it kind of leads me to believe he likes this guy. And also maybe he's kind of excited, man. Like there's been a ton of pressure on Deion Sanders to coach his kids and they're both gone. And maybe he's kind of excited, no pressure, veteran quarterback that plays the style of quarterback he likes. And I'm a little bit excited about Colorado for that reason, but I don't know. Like I had a chat with Royal and we all agreed like Colorado could definitely be that late night spot where everyone thinks they're getting sharp and takes them with the points. I could see that happening. I'm assuming both of you could too. So on this game, I don't know if I love anything, but as I'm fading Georgia Tech on the season, I don't think Haynes King is a guy who will play as well with expectations as he did last year as kind of like the surprise team that no one really expected to be this good. Haynes King isn't an expectations guy for me.
Before Snowman gives his thoughts, do I get a fucking pass on messing up the Deion Sanders press conference? There's 170 fucking teams that we're talking about. I don't think I've made one major fuck up. We talked about the AFC East earlier. I've just had to come out of baseball.
You know why you get a pass?
Why?
It's really hard to be live and tell your brain, like, I can't fucking mess up one time or I'm going to get flamed in the chat. And sometimes that makes you overthink.
This is absolutely insane. Degen is not locked at all. One fuck up. I get one fuck up, and you're telling me I'm not locked at all, and now you want to fade me. The overreaction from this generation, I'm telling you, is driving me absolutely fucking insane. Insane. You know how many interceptions Brett Favre threw? He was still a good fucking quarterback. Suck my ass.
A lot of Georgia Tech love. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. Yeah, right, I was going to say, I'm surprised to hear both you guys pretty staunchly on Colorado because
I'm not on Colorado. I'm not on Colorado. Just make that clear. I'm not on Colorado.
Still, you were talking positive, at least saying that you were open to Colorado because most people that I've heard from are loving Georgia Tech in this game. And I'm with you guys. I like Colorado here in this game. I'm pretty high in the Colorado program this year. I think Deion coming back is a huge sign. Not only, as Steak said, it could be a great point that it means he's high on the team, but I think the team's going to rally around him in a win one for the Gipper kind of way. I think that Colorado made a lot of really good moves in the offseason. Love Caden Salter. He was one of the better mid-major transfer quarterbacks in the entire country available. Not only did they get him, but they got Julian Lewis, one of the top freshman quarterbacks. Oh, by the way, he was going against Indiana for them, so I got to be a little bit salty that we finally had our opportunity to get a 5-star freshman QB, and he goes to Colorado instead to go be the backup. But hey, we got Mendoza too, so we have a backup here regardless. But the most important thing is they brought in 3 new starting offensive linemen. And Colorado the last couple of years had probably the worst offensive line amongst Power 4 schools. Yep. I mean, we saw Shedeur get sacked a lot and all these crazy plays where he's running behind the line of scrimmage and people say, oh, he holds on to the ball too much and blah, 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 blah. But it was really the fact that they had one of the worst offensive lines really in the country. So if they're going to have a much stronger offensive line this year, I feel really strong about their offense. I like Salter. They have really good receivers. Sure, they're losing Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn and a couple of the other guys they had from last season. But I think they're reloaded really well, offensively speaking. And I agree with you guys with Georgia Tech. They're being super, super, super loved right now. And I certainly understand why, bringing back Haynes King, bringing back their running back in Justice Haynes, bringing back their top receiver or one of their top receivers in Eric Rivers, and Brett Key has done well leading this program. But 4.5 favorites on the road feels crazy to me. Being, again, for the first time now, people are really starting to see expectations with them. I like Colorado in this game getting points for sure.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Yeah, I listen, my whole position was I don't know much about Colorado, so I can't bet on them, but I wanted to buy into Georgia Tech, and then I pumped the brakes. And I'm okay not being a Haynes King guy, and then after 1 year, not all of a sudden buying the stock in them when everybody else is too. So I was just surprised Georgia Tech was so trendy, but I can't lay points with an ACC team playing in Colorado. I think that's going to be very challenging. All right, Snowman, we got to get your thoughts on Saturday at noon. You're right, Steak. That was a good game to talk about. And I'm glad I get Snowman's thoughts on Georgia Tech. It just makes me feel a little bit better because I did tail our guy Crutch on fading them for the season. Where are you at with Texas and Ohio State? I'm seeing now on Hard Rock, this is down to 1.5. Ohio State is favored. They were a 3-point favorite, I believe. The total is anywhere from 48.5 to 46. I'm not exactly sure, but if you look at the splits on Pikkit, money line spread going to be on Texas. The total looks like it's pretty 50-50. From what I have heard, I think the total opened 50 or 51. It's been bet down to 2.5 points. Sharps are all over the under. I said my POD was going to be the first quarter under until somebody in the stream told me last week or 2 weeks ago. They're like, oh, you and everybody else. I was like, what are you talking about? Apparently everybody likes the under for this game. I just thought with the inexperience from Arch Manning and Julian Sayin playing a game on this like prime time of a stage, granted it's not nighttime, but a couple nerves, new faces everywhere you look on Ohio State other than Jeremiah Smith and 1 or 2 guys on the defense. But yeah, I don't know where I stand. I think that there is a real chance Manning is as good as advertised and Texas is just a chalk play that hits, like we've seen in college basketball from time to time. I don't know that I want to be on the opposite side of them, but thought about pressing it with Texas. Snake is against me here. He likes Ohio State. I don't want to go against him necessarily. I'm not that confident. This Julian Sayin kid playing quarterback for Ohio State doesn't necessarily pass my eye test. I did watch their spring game. I got to tell you, he throws a nice ball. He's got a nice ball. He's got a pretty good arm. If he gets time in the pocket, he's going to be an assassin. He's going to be a sniper, and he's going to be a problem. Ohio State can reload every year on talent. They are losing Jim Knowles. They got Matt Patricia now. I don't know where I stand on either of these teams. I think this is, for me at least, this is a watch and enjoy it. Start my Saturday. No wager in this game. I'd rather bet on a fucking stupid school like UNLV or Rutgers, but nothing in this game for me.
Can I ask you a question, Snowman? I just want your opinion. Is it crazy to say that Ohio State has the best offensive and defensive player in the country?
They definitely have the best offensive player in the country in Jeremiah Smith. I think you could make an argument for Caleb Downs. I think there's a couple other guys you could look at, like Keldrick Falk, Harold Perkins on LSU, maybe even Mateo Uyangule on Oregon. Like, there's a lot of really good defensive players, but I certainly think you'd make an argument for Caleb Downs, and he certainly is the best secondary player in the country.
Yeah. Okay. I before you give your pitch, I don't care if this sounds a little bit loser talkish. I would take Ohio State in this exact position. I'll take Ohio State for a unit on the money line. And if I lose, I lose. It's totally fine. I understand it's Arch Manning, and I understand it's a very good chance he's going to be good. I understand what Texas's roster looks like, and I understand how much hype there is. I'm sorry. I have to see it with Arch Manning, and I'm going to pay to see it because it's Ohio State, and I understand, like, I think what I want everyone to understand is I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know for a fact Julian Sayin will be a good quarterback, but it was Will Howard last year, and he had an amazing run in the playoffs, but he was never expected to be anything special. But when you have Igbuka and you have Jeremiah Smith and you have Carnell Tate, he can make super average can make super average quarterbacks look amazing. And it's just one more year of experience. Jeremiah Smith, he's not guardable. And then there's Carnell Tate, who's like the perfect number 2 guy. And I got to be honest, man, like, I'm just taking Ohio State happily for a unit. If I lose, I lose. If Arch Manning balls out, tip the cap, totally fine. But I roll with the Buckeyes in the spot, like, literally 10 times out of 10.
I have a few rules in sports. I have a few systems in sports. And maybe number one, if you are a number 1 overall team in the country and you're an underdog, I'm fading you every time. It's as simple as that. I mean, Ohio State is a favorite in this game for a reason. When Texas is the most popular team in the entire country this season to back, Arch Manning, having basically never played a game, never started a game, is the outright Heisman favorite. Texas is the national champion favorite. They're preseason number 1, yet Ohio State still favorite. And I love even more that people are betting on Texas. If you're going to fade Ohio State at home and they're all of a sudden being underestimated and potentially even plus odds at home, that's another system. Like, if you can get a top school like this plus odds at home, I'll take it every single time. I think the underlooks makes a lot of sense as well. These were 2 of the top 3 defenses in college football last season. It was Ohio State number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas number 3 in terms of yards allowed per game. So having great defenses, being in a situation where both quarterbacks are pretty new, it's going to be an electric environment. So it should be a little bit more difficult for Texas offense to get things going. I think the first quarter under makes a ton of sense. Honestly, it almost makes a little bit too much sense that I might need to stay away from it, where it's like, what's the number, 9.5? You get like a fluke bomb touchdown or a turnover or something that could screw it.
Like Hawaii Stanford. I love the under. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get cute and make the first quarter under my POD. And then there was a fucking fair catch at the 1 yard line, fumble in the end zone, like some stupid shit like that. The inexperience could play into the opposite effect where they throw a pick six or an interception deep in their own territory. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm off of that.
Or maybe a turnover. So the underlooks make sense to me, but the way I'm going to play it is I'm with a stake. I'm going to ride Ohio State. And if they lose, I will feel very happy about it because it's a bet that I will make 100 times out of 100.
Fair enough.
Chat also brought up a good point. Can you make Ohio State an underdog in the shoe? Very fair point. I think you could make them a pick 'em in this game specifically. So I was surprised to see Ohio State -3 against Texas with how much everyone loves Texas. But yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Again, remember, as I said earlier, the home field advantage is worth 3 points. So the books are saying, Vegas is saying these two teams are equal on a neutral site. If you ask most college football fans, I think the overwhelming majority would say Texas is a better team on a neutral site.
100%.
MJ says, just want to point out how handsome Snow looks today. All right, MJ, taking a page out of Mid-Major Matt's book. Snowman, we're coming to a close here shortly, and I have to know, as a Notre Dame fan, what you think about Notre Dame Miami. Steak is gobbling all over Carson Beck and the Miami Hurricanes this year. I wish him well. Actually, no, I don't. I take that back because I'm going to fade him directly. I'm taking Miami under.
You're fading the Vikings. It's okay.
Yeah, but to be fair, I've been on the Vikings the last 5 years, so that's nothing personal. It's literally a JJ McCarthy thing. But I'm not a Mario Cristobal guy. He can recruit, and there's no better place to recruit than Miami. Can he coach him? So far, he has to be able to do that. He had Cam Ward. What could they do with Cam Ward? They still lost to Syracuse. They couldn't even their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Now they got Carson Beck, and I get what Steak is saying. Like, Carson Beck's a decent quarterback. He's a decent college quarterback, and nobody really likes him. Is there a contrarian element to buying in on Carson Beck? Maybe. I kind of see what he's saying. And you're in the ACC. You're getting overlooked. You got a lot of talent. I'm all with it. But the Irish come in. They're 3-point favorites. They're down to 2. CJ Carr's a starting quarterback. Totals 49 or 50. I don't know that I love the Irish offense week 1 on the road in a place like Miami with a freshman quarterback, well, redshirt freshman, making his first start. But I love the defense. I really do. Even though there's a new defensive coordinator, I think they're going to get after the Hurricanes. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I like the under, but I'm just curious. Do you have a side between the Hurricanes and Notre Dame in week 1?
I like Miami in this game. I know you're not going to love hearing that, but
that's okay.
I'm also very high on Carson Beck. He's in my season-long prop parlay.
What?
Snowman almost finished. Snowman.
What?
Almost. He is in my season-long lay. I feel good about him. Listen, Carson Beck threw for like 3,500 yards each of the last 2 seasons at Georgia, and Cam Ward just threw for 4,300 yards last year. This is going to be an up-tempo offense with Cristobal. And, Carson Beck gets a lot of hate because he didn't win the national championship. So if those are the standards we're holding him to, he wasn't as good as Stetson Bennett, he didn't lead us to an undefeated national championship, I think those are very hard qualifications for anyone to live up to. Beck is one of the most experienced QBs in the country. He's making a ton of money this season. I think that Miami is going to be using him and using him hard. I do certainly think Notre Dame has a great defense, but if we're saying that, we have a true or a redshirt freshman quarterback making his first start on the road, mind you, and he's got to go. Sure, he has an easier matchup, but you also got a vet in the more difficult matchup. But it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think I'd rather trust the vet and all of his experience here and Miami's offense to get a little bit more high scoring in this game. So getting point, I certainly liked it better at 3, but I like the idea of getting points at home with the team. I definitely think is a better quarterback, even if they do have a worse coach and a worse defense.
I just want to say Carson Beck is the only quarterback I can recall that has thrown for 7,500 yards, 60 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions in 2 years, but somehow is considered to be trash for some reason.
It's because he didn't win the national championship. The expectations placed on him are ridiculous. Like, he's been good the last couple seasons, outright good.
Okay. Listen, I'm not anti-Carson Beck. I want to make that perfectly clear. My fate on Miami is a fate of Cristobal. I'm not a Cristobal guy. I got nothing against Carson Beck. I had nothing against him at Georgia. And frankly, I don't really know that I like this Gunnar Stockton guy very much more than I do Carson Beck. If I was a Georgia fan, I think I maybe would prefer Carson Beck in there. But I'm okay with him being in a place like Miami, getting that kind of talent, because I know Cristobal can recruit. I get that, but it's also like Jimbo Fisher recruiting at Texas A&M. He had top recruiting classes year in, year out. He couldn't do shit with them because he was a fucking boneheaded head coach. All I'm saying is this. I think this game, this is what I said in the stream earlier today, I think this game is going to be similar to Hawaii Stanford, and not in the terms of like, oh, it's ugly to watch and it's 2 shit teams, but it's going to start with a couple mistakes early. One team's going to get a lead. The other team's probably going to come back. I don't know that they're necessarily going to win, but it's going to be tied late in the game. And it's going to come down to a coin flip. I really do think it's going to be 50-50. And I'm with you. I said, if you're taking Miami, fucking buy the half a point if it's 2.5. Buy the 3, because I think you're going to get yourself a push. I really do think this could be a field goal game. But I like Marcus Freeman, man. I'm buying into him. I like that coaching. And I know Notre Dame. He knows Notre Dame is 0-6 against Miami. They got their number. If you want to lean into trends and fade the Irish, I got no beef with it. I understand. But if it's ever going to change and break, I think it's going to be against Mario Cristobal. That's where I'm at.
Fair.
Last parting words before we head off. This has been a great happy hour, by the way. Snowman, it's been awesome having you. Doing the Stump the Snowman challenge was great. We'll have to do more of it, and we'll get you some more relevant questions. But any parting words going into week 1 college football, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday? Do you have anything else that you like, Snowman, that you would like to get out there into the universe?
I mean, I would love to talk about the Indiana Old Dominion game, as Indiana is going to put up at least 50 points and win by 23.5 minimum. But the last game I think we should mention is the LSU Clemson game. I mean, that's another big time matchup here, and I'd love to hear your guys' takes on it. With Brian Kelly being 0-5 in first opening game seasons, or first opening game of the season.
Yep.
In his career, now to go on the road. Clemson's a very, very hyped team. I personally like Clemson in this game, but I would love to hear what you guys think about that.
Steak, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I want to go first because I'll make it really simple. I liked Clemson all offseason. I'm starting to get nervous, man. starting to get nervous because I've heard that Brian Kelly narrative like a million times in the past week, and everybody likes Clemson in some fashion or another. Everybody has either Cade Heisman or Clemson to win over their win total or the national championship. And like, it's weird. I don't know what happened with Nussmeier, but I feel like his hype was higher in May than it is in August. And I'm not sure I fully understand that. Because like, and my first thought was, wow, is the line 4.5 right now?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Clemson 4.5 point favorites. That's really respectful to Clemson against LSU and SEC team. But man, as a guy who liked Clemson, I'm getting a little nervous because I haven't seen too many people liking LSU.
I guess that could account for the line movement. If everybody is on Clemson, they'll push it the extra point.
What kind of line movement have you seen, Snowman?
I mean, it definitely was at 3.5 for a while.
Yeah. So it can 3.5. I saw 4. It could have gotten to 4.5. Maybe it got back. It depends where you find it. Hard Rock is still showing 3.5.
If it did settle back at 3.5 or 4, that's a good sign because that means there clearly is LSU money. There are LSU backers that are pushing the price down and saying, "Hey, we found the fair market price. It's +4. That's what we're willing to buy." I mean, if that's the case, like if everybody was truly on Clemson, we would see what happened with UNLV or Rutgers or all these other games that are steaming up 5, 6, 7 points.
True.
Yeah. I'll give you my take. So obviously as a Notre Dame fan, I know Brian Kelly very well. I want to make it clear. I think he's a scumbag, piece of shit human being. I don't think he's a good guy. He was Charlie Weiss was not well liked within the Notre Dame community. I'm not saying Brian Kelly was either, but Brian Kelly was a winner. He was a winner everywhere he went, even at Cincinnati. And at the end of the day, we all want to win football games. So I'm just going to speak on his behalf as a football coach, not as a human being, just so nobody comes after me. But when he went and accepted the job at LSU, a lot of my family who are diehard Notre Dame fans were pissed. Like, why would he leave us? Blah, 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 this and that. He took us to a national championship game with Everett Golson. He took us to multiple playoff games. At the end of the day, the talent level at Notre Dame hits a ceiling. You are not going to get Clemson or SEC talent recruited to Notre Dame with the standards and just living in South Bend, Indiana for 3 to 4 years. You're just not going to do it. So I didn't mind him going to an SEC school. I understand that he's the guy cares about winning more than anything. He wants a national championship. And I said within 5 years, Brian Kelly is going to win a national championship at LSU. Now I put my money where my mouth was for the first 2 years. And then I stopped because I was like, ooh, I don't know. Things aren't going really well with Brian Kelly at LSU. And they didn't get off to a hot start with the fake country accent at the basketball game, the fucking, this with the recruit.
Yes, that video of them going in the circle.
Yep. People are like, oh, he's not really relatable. Listen, it's not about college kids liking Brian Kelly. It's about college kids don't like Nick Saban. Nick Saban's a fucking asshole. They go there because they know they're going to win and they're going to get drafted high. I thought to myself, LSU is the kind of school. I met a guy from England once when I was playing soccer in New York, and I asked him like what it was like living in England, blah, blah, blah. And he told me he studied abroad. Now, you're coming from England. He studied abroad at LSU. And he said, mate, I don't know why he said mate, but he said, the best time of my life was the few months I had at LSU, nickel beers and gorgeous women. That's what he said to me. Now, listen, Brian Kelly could be the biggest prick on earth. It doesn't matter. Kids are going to want to go play football at LSU. Okay. Great culture, great atmosphere, great college town. I'm sure. Never been to Baton Rouge. So he's going to get talent. Things got weird with Brian Kelly where he lost like 7 defensive backs. He replaced the entire secondary. That was the year with Jane Daniels. I bet Jane Daniels would win the Heisman because I always said he needs the right kind of quarterback that has a perfect balance of throwing ability and running ability. He was that guy. I don't know that Garrett Nussmeier is the right type of quarterback for a Brian Kelly offense. Now, Garrett Nussmeier has a lot of hype as a quarterback in general. I'll never forget when Stakes showed me the odds on Hard Rock. I think it was last year for like, who's going to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. Snowman, Connor Wegman, whatever, who the fuck, was 35-1. I couldn't believe it. He should have been 350 million to 1. That guy stinks. But the hype on Nussmeier is really, really high. He's like a prototypical NFL quarterback, blah, 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 blah. He's got the size. He's got the IQ, this and that. Is he the right kind of quarterback for LSU? I really don't know. I watched that Ole Miss game last year. I don't know how much LSU football you watched, but man, LSU won that game. They had no business winning that game. They really didn't. Ole Miss was the better team in there, and I didn't really think Nussmeier was very good until there was like 4 minutes left in the game. I cannot tell you that I am extremely high on LSU. Last year was the year, I believe, 4 or 5 offensive linemen for LSU were incredible. Like they had one of the best offensive lines in college football. I don't know what they have now, but they do have that is it Blake Baker or something Baker, defensive coordinator that they got from Missouri. Is he good? Is he not? I don't know, but that was year 1.
He's very high paid, that's for sure.
I like a defensive coordinator in year 2 more than I like him in year 1. And my example with that, if I'm wrong, let me know. But I think Jim Knowles, the year Ohio State just won the national championship, that was year 2 of Jim Knowles. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily an overnight thing with the coordinators in college football, but nevertheless, LSU, in my opinion, they do have some hype in terms of people buying into Nussmeier, buying into LSU this season. They're 8.5 win total. They're in the SEC. For whatever reason, nobody's really that high on Georgia. Nobody's that high on Alabama. You'll find people that like them, but it's not super lopsided.
I like Georgia. I have Georgia winning the SEC.
I got Snowman. I got nobody I'm seeing liking Georgia, and that's the only theme I've got on Georgia. And Georgia's that type of team when nobody likes them, I kind of like them.
Fun fact: there's preview lines out for almost all the big Georgia games. Georgia is favored in every single game this season. They're favored over Texas and Alabama right now.
I'm just not the Gunnar Stockton guy, but I think around them, if they can have that defense and those weapons on offense, which they were kind of lacking last year, they're going to be a scary team, no doubt about it.
Who do you think is more talented at the QB position, Gunnar Stockton or Stetson Bennett?
I think Gunnar Stockton's more talented.
Georgia doesn't need a quarterback who's like Jaden Daniels. They don't need a quarterback who's going to go out and make tons of plays and do it. As long as everyone on the team is doing their job, that's all they need to do. And that's all Gunnar Stockton needs to do. Not turn the ball over, not make mistakes, put the ball on time in the open windows. And Georgia should go back to the playoffs with ease and have a chance to win the national championship again.
I don't
Georgia team's going to be very solid this year.
Yep, I agree. I won't be fading them at all. And if anything, if I like what I see early, I'll buy stock in them. But back to LSU for a second. I see our guy Crutchback says he likes the under. I'm kind of with you. Because I'm not the biggest Nussmeier guy. I'm really not. I'm not big on Brian Kelly early in week 1s. You brought that up, but Steak says he's kind of wanted to fade that narrative, and I'm okay with that. If you want to do that and you get contrarian, I'm the kind of guy late in my old age. I sort of don't like fading trends. I'll just lean into them. If a guy was 0-4 in his week 1 games and now he's 0-6, I got no reason to believe that he can't be 0-8 and then 0-10. You know what I mean? So I can't get there with Brian Kelly because I loved them last year against USC and he didn't come through. And 2 years ago against FSU in Orlando, that was my 3-unit wager, and he sucked. They sucked with Jane Daniels against Jordan Travis. They got their ass kicked because the defense was terrible. The only play I could make in this game is Clemson, but am I going to do it? Absolutely not. I think Clemson, if you don't have Clemson fatigue by now, I don't know when you ever will. This has to be the time you buy in on Clemson. I've already done it, and I'm out. I'm done with Dabo. I'm done with Klubnik. He looked good against Texas last year. I'll give him that, but I don't think they have what it takes anymore. So this is a total stay away game for me. I don't know how you could pick a side. Do you have a play in this game?
My thing with LSU over the last couple of years, it's not even the week 1 issues. LSU's defense has just been god awful the last couple of years. The year with Jaden Daniels, I think I took the over on LSU games virtually every single week. And once we realized that this defense was horrific and the offense was amazing, and it worked out. And last season, yes, they brought in Blake Baker, but the defense was still not all that good. And considering they do have great recruits, they have Harold Perkins, who's one of the top linebackers in the country, and have a top defensive coordinator, I would certainly expect the defense to be doing a lot better. What's really intriguing to me about this game is the over-under, 57.5. Clemson has one of the best defenses in the country. They have like 3 first-round picks on defense. They're bringing in Tom Allen, who was the Penn State coordinator last season and the Indiana head coach for years.
The other guy, yep.
The only reason that Penn State went out and got Jim Knowles was because Tom Allen left. It's not like they hired Jim Knowles and forced out Allen. Clemson said, fuck it, we're going out and poaching one of the top guys, Penn State's defensive coordinator. And then Penn State was like, what are we going to do? And they also got a little bit lucky with the fact that Jim Knowles and Ryan Day have personal beef and issues with each other. So that wanted Jim Knowles to get out from there. But I think that Clemson's defense is going to be rock solid. And if you, like you said, if we think LSU's defense is going to be better, this 57.5 seems very high to me. Mm-hmm. I think Nussmeier is fine QB. I definitely agree that I'm not seeing the number 1 overall pick stuff from him, but I don't know if there's any number 1 overall picks in this QB class, especially if Arch Manning comes out, that's one thing. But assuming Arch Manning stays behind, if we're talking about the Drew Aller, Kate Klubnik, Nussmeier, Sam Levitt type of guys. I don't know if any of them will be number 1 picks in most years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is going to be a game that's going to be a little bit lower scoring. If LSU's defense is not up to stuff, I think Clemson could end up blowing them out. Honestly, at home is a very difficult place to play on the road if your defense is not getting stops. But I kind of like the under in this game, and I like Clemson.
Well, I'm with you. For a side, it would be Clemson or nothing. And I don't mind leaning into Crutch's read. And if you like it as well, the under, because I don't think LSU's offense is going to go in there and light it up. But at the same time, I've just watched and expected so much from Cade Klubnik, and I'm not seeing it. And I think the only time he really wowed me, Snowman, was I took their team total over last year. Did they play like Appalachian State? Like there was just an obvious like punching bag game, and they scored 28 points in the first quarter. I don't know if you remember that, but it was one of the easier bets I've hit on Clemson. I've lost many, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think the under is a good look. And that one year with Jane Daniels where their defense was atrocious and you were betting the under every season. I do remember when I was doing my research on LSU, because again, I said to myself, they're going to win a championship with Brian Kelly within 5 years. So I wanted to like them. I saw that they had 7 secondary players in the secondary, not on defense, in the secondary, leave. They had to replace every single person. That was concerning. And I know that like replacing players is no big deal anymore nowadays with the NAL, but like 7 players in one position is crazy. They got at the time they had Omar Spates come in from Oregon State. They had Harold Perkins, but now all of a sudden they don't know how to use Harold Perkins. He was like phenomenal early in his career, and then they changed schemes or something. They're trying to tinker with his position, and it's not really working as well. So I cannot confidently put money on LSU in week 1. I just can't. At the end of the day, I would probably take it with the home team. So I'm with you, or just fade Brian Kelly early. But the under or nothing for me in this game should be a good one. That was your money glitch on the over. Yep. We have ODU alum in the house. Snowman need a gentleman's wager. Very funny.
Gentleman's wager accepted.
I just realized it's 6:15. We are way over time. Snowman, thank you again for joining. By the way, Steak just texted me. He said his laptop died. Because he left abruptly. I was like, that's really weird. Steak wouldn't do that, but that makes total sense. He said it wasn't plugged in. Thank you so much for joining, man. It was great talking football with you and also doing the challenge. We'd love to run it back at some point. We do have to give somebody in the chat $50. We'll pick a winner at some point later tonight or tomorrow. Best of luck this college football season. As I mentioned before, you can follow him at Snowman_sports. You see the handle there under on his screen. Yep, right there. And he does a great Twitch stream almost every day. I feel like every
pretty much, yeah. There'll be some days here and there where I take off, but especially with football coming back, it should be pretty much every single day moving forward.
I say the same thing. How can anyone not like Snowman? I understand if people don't like me. I understand people don't like Steak or don't like Greg. There are some people I meet where I'm like, how can people not like that guy? I don't know how people can't like you. Unless
you'd be surprised. Snowman, I feel like, is very polarizing.
Do you have haters?
Oh yeah.
Really? It's very funny. I can't see it. Unless it's like a Big Ten Indiana thing.
No, I get haters shitting on my picks all the time. I'm like, dude, you don't have to tail. Like, you don't have to tail, bro.
Oh, well, I know that. Yeah. I know how that goes very well. All right, Snowman, good luck this year. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for having me on. It was a great time. Definitely looking forward to you coming back on the Pikkit Happy Hour, and shout out and congrats to the chat winner for Stump the Snowman. We'll definitely have to run it back.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Bad guy, you're one of my favorites, but I can't play favorites, so we'll have to do like a legitimate duck race or something. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Great happy hour. Thank you very much, Hunter. Quantitative says W Happy Hour. La Barbera, longtime follower. We appreciate you. Get familiar with Snowman if you're not already. Have a great night, guys. Good luck on your wagers. We'll see you tomorrow at the board review, 10 a.m. Peace, Snowman.